They go down to the Michigan Wolverines, sir. Ohio State, they made Michigan beat them through the air, and they did. Like, the second half was just J.J. McCarthy being asked to beat the Buckeyes, and he beat the Buckeyes through the air. Like, the Buckeyes, they brought the house. They dared them to beat them. Coach Knowles was like, hey, we do not believe you are going to beat us over the top. We do not believe that J.J. McCarthy is going to be able to create the explosive plays necessary for Michigan to beat us in Columbus. And he was right in the first half, and it looked like it was turning that way, and Michigan couldn't run the ball. Blake Corum couldn't go, and it was like, all right, well, I don't know how Michigan's going to win this game with Blake Corum and then Donovan Edwards obviously being banged up as well. You're like, I don't really see the path here, and that's why I ultimately went with Ohio State, where I was like, I just don't see the path. And the path was just a couple explosive plays that completely turned this game upside down. And Bud Elliott made this point on Cover 3 that I agree with, where it was like, I think people are overreacting to this Ohio State loss in terms of like what actually happened here. And it's been referred to as a blowout and a stomping and this, that, and the other. But it was like, it was just a couple plays that just accounted for more than 300 yards of offense for Michigan. Obviously, it was through the air, and JJ did what he needed to do here. But like, it was just a couple big plays, explosive plays that just.
How many is a couple, though? Is a couple
three?
Two?
That's true.
A few is like three?
Few. Yeah.
They had like five. They
True.
had touchdowns of 69, 75, 45, 75, and 85. Like, after a while, it's like, if you're like, just those couple big plays killed us. Well, if you're just going to give up like big plays every single drive in the second half, it's like, yeah, after a while, that's what you do. You're giving up big plays.
That's fair. What did you see in this one, Matt Green? Because it's never a good look when Urban Meyer's on the post-game set going through what happened and there are fans behind him chanting, we want Urban, or like asking to bring back Urban Meyer with his replacement there. But, I don't think it was ever real that they would ever fire him. Huge deal, huge buyout, and recruiting, just an absolute machine there. They're winning every game just about outside of the Michigan one, but you lose Michigan twice. It's not great. Harbaugh has a better record now against Ryan Day since he has been as the head coach here at the Ohio State. But I don't know. Luke Fickell off the board for the Buckeyes. He goes Wisconsin. We'll get more into that one. So that was more of the obvious one. And Mike Vrabel's not leaving the NFL to come back to college. So you're like, I don't know. You're not firing Ryan Day for Matt Campbell. I'll tell you that. It's not happening. So still learning curve. I don't know, man. It was such a weird result for me because I thought about all the different ways leading up to this week of how this game would go. And I said in the pod, I was like, if Michigan wins, I think it's close. They ran the ball really well. They were physical. The defense showed up in a big way. C.J. Stroud had a bad game. Ohio State couldn't run the ball, and they got one-dimensional. And Michigan won 17-13 or something with a couple turnovers and that sort of thing. No, it was the opposite. They won this game like Ohio State usually beats people with the explosive plays, with great stuff from the receiver, the quarterback putting the ball in his playmaker's hands and them just taking advantage of it and doing what they do. It was a very, very weird second half to watch, but what a gigantic win for Michigan and this program. What did you make of it?
Yeah, I think you just have to. It felt like just like last year, and so for this to be the exact same game, just about that happened last year, and Ohio State talked about they had a clock in the locker room, like this. Their entire off season was about this game, and for it to just kind of be the exact same game as last year, like I think you do have to start to ask some questions about Ryan Day, because this team is just ridiculously talented. Like Ohio State is always been, not always, but for the last 5, close to 10 years, like they've been that level of Alabama talent, like of just elite NFL talent year in and year out. And Ryan Day inherited a program like that. Was honestly my favorite part of this is the context of Jim Harbaugh trash talk last year of saying some people were born on third base and then they hit a triple. And for him to follow that up with a back-to-back win over Ohio State, I feel like he pretty much cemented himself as the superior head coach in this rivalry. Like, I think this feels like a tide turning in the rivalry now, because Ohio State, like, last year it felt like kind of everything came together, like almost like a perfect storm. Like, oh, Michigan's got this like super talented defense, and it was at home and it was snowing, and that kind of goes better to Michigan style. It's like this year, they even talked about it. It was like perfect weather, like the nicest weather like this game's like ever seen, like 60 degrees or something, sunny at Ohio State. Your Heisman candidate quarterback, and just loaded with weapons and everything. And for this team to not be able to get it done, I think the Ryan Day questions, like, obviously Ryan Day's a good college football coach, right? But that's not what it's about when you're at one of the elite programs in college football. It's about just the bottom line of what the goals are here and what you're producing. So I think it's going to be interesting to hear how the talk about Ryan Day might change, and the pressure from the Ohio State fan base. But like, you look at last year, Michigan in this game, 297 rushing yards to 64 for Ohio State. Just absolutely dominated the rushing, the run game in this one. This on Saturday, 252 yards on the ground for Michigan and 143 for Ohio State. Like you said, it could be a little misleading, because on 252 yards, 160 of that came on those two runs in the fourth quarter by Donovan Edwards. But the way Michigan was able to just continue to beat them with big plays, it was a huge win.
It was. If you're an Ohio State fan, are you panicking? Is it time to freak out?
I think if you're an Ohio State fan, yes, you're panicking. That doesn't mean it is time to freak out, though. Fans are irrational. So I'm sure fans, I mean, like you said, I mean, there's a large enough crowd to where you at least hear people saying we want Urban or whatever, or bring back Urban on that Fox broadcast. But I don't know. Ohio State's still one of the elite programs in the country. I think next year, if they actually took a step back next year and Penn State beats them and they lost to Michigan a third year in a row or something, I think losing to Michigan a third year in a row is going to be legitimate hot seat talk. But we're a long way from that. It was just one game, and Michigan got it done. I'm shocked that they I wasn't shocked with how the game played out. I was just shocked that it played out the way it did without Blake Corum playing at all, honestly.
Big win. Have you seen enough to think that Michigan can win the title?
I mean, I think you have to think they can win the title. I have reservations of saying they can beat Georgia, because it feels like they're almost the same exact mold as Georgia. Almost the same type of quarterback, too, the way Bennett and McCarthy both play, like run first. But I think Michigan's probably got more dynamic running backs, but like on an individual basis, if you're assigning them a numerical rating on a video game or something. But with Georgia's offensive line, and I think it kind of balances out. Georgia's got a good running game. Michigan does have a better running game, but for what both teams want to do, they're pretty similar. You just have to think Georgia's probably got superior athletes, and that's kind of what's gotten them to this point for a second year in a row.
Fair enough, Matt Green. Down in Oxford on Thursday night, which feels like forever ago, Ole Miss, they go down to Mike Leach.